Hi friends, we're gonna just quick share the live and then we'll get started. I'm so excited, I can't even handle it. So we're gonna quick share the live and we'll be on in a second. Okay, now how do I do this? Okay, perfect, it started, share. Share custom. And then more options. Look at that. Okay, apparently it doesn't want me to share it to there. Okay, that's fine. We got it. So I'll let Tristan finish here. And I'm going to open it up. We should be able to have time for lots of questions today, and I really want you guys to ask as many questions as you possibly can. Time for lots of questions today. All right. Oh, that was interesting. I bet that was a whole time loop with the sound. All right. So, as always, I am Miranda Taylor, and it's 3:01, so we can get started. I'm a real estate agent with Kelly Realty, and I have started this amazing talk show called Life, Love, and Real Estate, where I bring small business owners and people who are in the small business community. We come on and we talk about those things like life, love, and real estate. So far, it's been all women. If you're a man and you want to come on the show, please let me know. I love supporting my local women, but it's okay to have diversity on here. The beautiful Tristan Miles is here with me today, and I will let her introduce herself and everything here shortly. If you want to be on the show, there's a link in my bio, and you can go and apply. Also, the reason I'm doing this is I want to bring awareness and more things than just real estate, because there's a lot of moving parts to it, and I think it's important that people know that I'm not just a realtor, that I am a really good resource for a lot of things, and one of that is networking and connections. So I'm going to let Tristan introduce herself. I love this woman. She is kind of related to me because she married my cousin, and I'm so happy that she is on the show. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
So, like you said, my name is Tristan Miles. I am the COO of Rhino Public Adjusters. I've been in public adjusting or some sort of claims related, roofing related, PA related atmosphere for the past 5-6 years now. So yeah, just started as a COO like in September, so it's been really recent, but I'm getting a hold of things, getting a hold of like how the companies ran, and just starting to get my feet wet and everything right now.
So we can start with that. I have a really good question for you.
Okay.
So you're in the roofing business, and you started in the roofing business, and now you've kind of done a career switch. What did that look like for you? How did that progression go? And was it complicated, easy?
So I originally started in the public adjusting space, and that happened totally by accident. And I found out that's what I was good in, and I was able to find a lot of the reasons as to why insurance claims happen, what really goes on with them. And then I needed to learn the aspect of how things are installed, how things are built, just to kind of better my knowledge, because there was a lot of missing components for me. So I went into the roofing space. I worked there for I worked at one company for 2 years, and they did mostly commercial and residential. And then I moved to another roofing company, which was a national roofing franchise. So I worked everywhere but Omaha, really. So, and then after that, I did move back into public adjusting, because I learned so much about how things were installed and what was needed to get to plan A to plan B.
So public adjuster, I know I kind of understand what that is, but at the same time, can you explain to our lovely audience what exactly your job is? Because when I hear public adjuster, I think insurance. So you're not necessarily an insurance agent. You actually work for the homeowner. How does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on the capacity that you have me in, but for example, a public adjuster is someone that is hired by the policyholder. So whether it's a residential home or a commercial space, we are hired solely by the policyholder with our best interest for the policyholder. So let's say if you get an insurance claim on your home here, an adjuster is going to come out and they're going to say, okay, well, we're going to pay for direct physical damage. I keep hitting that mic. That probably sounds awful. But they're going to come in and they're going to say, okay, well, only this part of your roof is damaged because that part of your roof was covered by a tree. But the problem is that you can't just repair half of a roof. Half the time you have a warranty already on it, or Nebraska has a matching law. So a lot of the times you can't just put any regular shingle on there, so you have to do a full replacement. So we'll go through all the locally adopted codes, statutes. What does Nebraska require for homeowners? Or if you're in an HOA, what does your HOA say? Maybe you have to have a specific type of roof and you can't have any mismatched shingles. So we're going to look at your policy, see what is actually owed to you from whatever loss it is. And then we're going to go through and create an estimate, and we're going to negotiate on your behalf. We're going to pretend to be Miranda Taylor, not necessarily pretend. We're going to say, okay, well, Miranda's hired us, and we're going to go through and make sure that you get everything that is actually owed to you per your policy.
So I would say, like, I've done probably like 2 insurance claims in my whole entire life. And both times I would say, like, I didn't get, like, anything I asked for. So if you are going to be making an insurance claim, what it sounds like to me is, like, you need to hire Tristan and her company because they will get you what you are owed. So
Yes.
What is the most common, like, item that homeowners kind of get messed over on when it comes to those claims?
So there's this article I read years ago. It was called Burn, Insure, and Adjusting. So whenever you see, like, a catastrophic loss, so like this last summer we had 5 hailstorms between June and July. A lot of the times you're going to have a CAT team come out here from your insurance companies, and they're going to just try to inspect as many properties as possible, write a quick estimate, and be done with it. So there's usually about 3 different categories. There's approved, denied, or under your deductible. And usually under your deductible is the easiest because homeowners think, well, there is damage, but there's not enough damage. Usually it's not enough to even cover their deductible. So they're kind of stuck in this position of, well, do I get those 5 shingles repaired or 10 shingles repaired? I've seen them say, you know, you're going to have to replace 300 shingles. How do you replace 300 shingles across a roof? It's just something you don't do. So
that one.
Yeah, they're just like, and I've asked adjusters, I'm like, okay, so out of this roof, which 100 shingles do you want to be replaced? They're like, well, it's obvious. I was like, it's not obvious to me, so you need to tell me which shingles I need to replace. Okay, well, do those shingles now hold the same ASTM rating? So every shingle has to have one. If you're asking us to manipulate that shingle, then that's another issue. We can't manipulate shingles. We can't cut them. What if you had a warranty beforehand? Now your warranty is going to be voided because you've had that. So, and let's say if you wanted to sell that house and you've done a repair of like 300 shingles, they can diminish the value of your property. People are going to show up to your front door and be like, well, I don't want a house that has like mismatched shingles all over the place. And that's probably going to be one of the first things that they're going to negotiate down on because the home just looks out of place. So a lot of the times you'll see when those claims come in, if it's denied or under deductible and you feel like you're totally being screwed over, which happens a lot of the times, we will review your policy for free. We will come inspect your house for free. And we'll try to make sure that, you know, you get what is actually owed to you. We're not successful 100% of the time, but I would like to say that we are successful most of the times.
That's awesome. And so, like, I know as, like, when I go in and negotiate with one of my buyers, the roof, siding, like anything, like, they can't see it on camera, but I have like little spots over in the side of my house where my roof leaked. But those kind of things, they are very, very off-putting to buyers.
Yeah.
And they may not understand how much that stuff costs. Maybe it only costs like $200 or whatever it may be. but it is very off-putting, especially if there is an old roof and that kind of thing. And I know one of the big things is when there is an older roof, everybody's like, well, can they just go see if there was any damage or anything like that? And I think it's important to note that somebody like you does exist that actually is for the public to go and figure out if that claim can actually get you everything that you want. And I know in my experience with you, just in general, like, you are wicked good at what you do. I don't necessarily understand 100% of all you do, but I know you are wicked good at it. And I know I've sent a few clients to you, and I've sent a few referrals to you in the various jobs that you've been in, and I know they've all been extremely satisfied in anything that you were a part of. So guys, seriously, I didn't know that this actually existed or exactly what she did until she came on the show, and this is just mind-blowing.
It's really new to Nebraska too, because the first PA firm in Nebraska came in like 2017. So, and now I can think of at least 3 PA firms that are here in Omaha. So now you have people that are actually here for your benefit, that have been in the storms, they know what's happened, they're collecting information on it. Even with the hurricane that happened, so like we can help out with the hurricane. We do work on a national platform, but there's a lot of work just local to Omaha that we just didn't realize was a need for until, we get a call every now and then, like, we were just Googling people, found you. I was like, oh, that's weird, because we have like a couple different websites. So, but it's really nice to see that people are actually starting to find PAs.
And, since I'm big in women empowerment in general, so you're in a male-dominated field, I assume.
Yes.
So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've had some interesting things happen. Just when you are a female, they don't think that you know anything about roofing, that you don't know anything about how the codes work. But I kind of tell people, it's like, I can read pretty well. So you'll see me reading installation specs for roofing, siding. I've read, how tile is installed. So the amount of resources that you get, even if like there's no one else to help you, because I really didn't have a whole lot of help. I did have a couple of friends that were attorneys that were males that helped me build a lot of my resources. But for the most part, there's really not a lot of help for women. So I built a lot of my own resources, and it's now becoming more of a thing where I can share those resources because I've built them. But my favorite thing is when I go to an inspection, and I think I've had a couple guys be like, "Are you going on the roof?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go up there with you." And I think on Friday I was talking to my husband. I was like, from 5 years ago, from my first time getting on a roof to Thursday or Friday, whenever I got on the last roof, I was like, I ran up there, and like the guys were like, "Oh, you're already up." So, but a lot of the times people will underestimate you, and I use that to my own advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
So a lot of the times I'll tell guys, well, if an engineer's on an inspection, just ask them what they need help for. Ask them what they're looking for, and then all of a sudden the ego comes down a little bit. They think that you're stupid. And then they'll kind of show you, because they feel, I don't know if they necessarily feel bad for you, but a lot of the times you get a lot further because you're trying to learn from another man, and then they're like, oh, okay, let's help you. But there's also been times where I've been the roofer, and another roofer shows up, and then it becomes a measuring contest of sorts. And I don't have that to like measure with, and so I remember just kind of keeping to myself, and this guy just like kept just getting to me and just kept like telling me, how I was never going to be able to help with this commercial property. And by the end of it, I told him that they had installed this roof incorrectly and they had to go back and redo it, which was probably a little bit more expensive job for them than if they would have just left me alone. I wouldn't have said anything because I'm sure it was fine, but it wasn't installed to manufacturer like specs. So they had to go back and redo it.
Well, and my experience with adversity being a woman is I was in STEM, pretty much my whole entire life. And anytime you're in a male-dominated field, there's 2 avenues that people go after. they go after the aspect that, you may not be as smart because you're not a man.
Yep.
And then they also go after you in the aspect of like, oh, you're just a woman. I'm like, if I was a shark, would you care if I was a woman or not?
No, that is a lot of my day, but I usually tell people, I'm like, I hope that they underestimate me.
Absolutely.
Because when they address me, and the other thing is I have the advantage of having a name that could be either genders.
Yes.
So a lot of the times I'll get, hi, Mr. Miles, and they think I am Mr. Miles up until I show up to that inspection, and you should see the look on their face half the time. They're just like, oh, and they just have that buffering signal.
Like, especially in like negotiation, because I think that's a big part of your job. Anytime anybody underestimates you, like, I know I get underestimated quite often just because of how I talk, and just because I'm always bubbly, I'm always happy, I'm always smiley, I'm always just Miranda. Can't be anybody other than myself.
Yep.
And anytime I get into a negotiation and it's a tough one, like that like sneak attack, that like ninja capability of them thinking you're one thing and then you become another is always fantastic.
Yep.
And women can do the same thing that men can, sometimes better.
You know what? So like I was telling, the guys at Rhino, they've done a wonderful job, but I always tell them that, we've got to work offensively and be a little bit better. We good?
It says it's buffering, but you can keep talking. I know what I'm doing, maybe. There we go.
We're back. Okay.
We're back.
Good.
We lost us for a hot. Maybe you've still lost us. Hold on. We'll try again. Maybe. Are we coming back? Are we coming back? Oh no! Let's see. Oh, I think we're back. We're back on.
We're back.
We're
just
back.
staring at the computer. Cool.
Okay, cool. I don't know where we lost, but you
okay.
were talking about. I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so a lot of the times, just being a female, like sometimes when you're working in the adjusting aspects, you see a lot of men that will just send out like one-liners and be like, "You need to pay the roof because I said so." And I'm like, I mean, like you're not wrong, but we need to back up with evidence. And my whole thing is working offensively rather than defensively. So if we can help homeowners, policyholders, if it's commercial, whatever it is, if we can work offensively, say you hire us before you even call your insurance adjuster, we can help you build up a game plan. We get you plans A through Z set up, and we're going to say, okay, well, we might have to get the fish on the hook with the roof before we can get to the siding. And honestly, we just have to make sure your roof gets installed before it gets below 45 degrees. You can do your siding in the winter. It's just a matter of getting your claims to correlate with your job. So we have to think more strategically, but a lot of the times when you're working with men, they're just like setting off the one-liners, like, and they're fast, but like I would rather be slow and meticulous and thought out. So that way the insurance adjuster, when they come, they have to basically be on the defense, which it's usually on the other end. It's usually, this is what you get, Miranda. Now you need to tell me why you think you deserve more. It's hard.
Yeah.
And that's how most of our clients come to us. It's not impossible, but if you really want to be successful, hiring us from the front end is going to be a lot better.
Well, because you have to have that strategy. And like that's like negotiating 101.
Yeah.
every single time that you're going to negotiate something, whether it's as simple as like we need to have Chinese food tonight for dinner instead of me cooking, or as something serious as getting a roof replacement, or as serious as buying a house, like you have to have a plan. And like one thing I do with my clients is anytime we're going to go look at a property or anything like that, each property is different because it's a different set of sellers, it's a different agent, it's a different, like everything's different. It's a different location, different taxes, like you have to have a strategy.
Yep.
If you don't go in with a strategy and have that kind of mindset, you're going to lose more than you're going to win.
Yep.
And
you're putting in way more effort too. Like smarter, not harder.
Right.
Or harder.
Whereas, right now the market's a little bit stagnant. If you go in and look at a house that's sat for a really long time, and you're just like at asking price to your client, are you doing your client a disservice because you didn't pull the comps, you didn't look at what that neighborhood's actually going for, you didn't look at anything. Were there any other offers on the property? Like, there's a strategic way to go about doing all of that, and negotiation and everything. Like, you got to form a plan before you go, because otherwise you just kind of look ignorant.
Well, and the other part of that, so like Omaha specifically, so Omaha has Nebraska specifically has a 5-year statute of limitations. So if you haven't had a new roof, or if any houses that you're selling hasn't had a new roof in the last 5 years or even 6 years, there's probably a claim to be had. Omaha got hit in 2011, 13, 17, 19, 2022. So there's been plenty of storms that almost every house has probably been impacted. So even when I bought my house in 2020, they had their roof replaced in 2019. So if you don't have a new roof, that could be something that you can negotiate down, and you can have it put it in escrow, and then you can either go through the claim off of the the seller's insurance, and then the buyer just has to pay that deductible. So even if you're in the process of purchasing a home, we can still help you. The only problem is most closings happen within 30 days.
Okay. For
the most part. A claim's life is a little bit longer. So as long as we have the right documents, you can still kind of put the roof on an escrow as whenever it gets done, but you can negotiate that too.
So, okay, we're talking things about that I apply to me. Okay, so let's say I have a client, right? Let's say the roof is like 20 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old roof is on the property. The property says as is. And my client wants there to be a claim on that roof. They would hire you, and then would that be something that you would want to negotiate before closing, or would that be something that you can still look at after it closes?
You can do it after, but the problem is like, what if for whatever reason insurance says that it doesn't cover it? So I would almost say, like, for the purpose of the new owner, if I were in their shoes, I would ask to even have that roof, the payments be put in escrow. So if it takes $13,000 to do a new roof, I would have them put that money in escrow until the insurance goes through. When we've dealt with that before, you just need to get the right paperwork, which it's called an assignment of claim. So you can assign from the seller to the purchaser, and then the purchaser just has to cover whatever the deductible is. So it could be a $5,000 deductible, could be a $1,000 deductible. But while that insurance claim is going through, either the escrow money can stay with the seller and they get new insurance money, or they get a new roof for insurance. But either way, it then will increase the value of the home.
Well, like instantly. Like a new roof is one of those things that just...
A lot of the time, gutters go with it. So if you get new roof, new gutters, I thought this house down my street had a whole new siding replacement, and all that they had done was new roof and new gutters. And I was just like, their house value probably shot up because it looks like a really nice house. All they did was new roof and gutters.
Well, and that is one of the best things that you can buy is a new roof and gutters. Like, the roof is what's protecting your house from all the elements.
Yep.
And when I go in and I'm going to sit down and have a listing appointment, if I have a client that has like an older house, but everything is like pristine, but the roof is older, that is a conversation that we have is, hey, like, you want the max amount of money out of your home. Okay. Your roof is kind of what's holding us back from getting that. So let's talk about this. Like, is this something that we could do an insurance claim on? And would we get an ROI on that? And, same thing with siding. Like, if there's like a piece of siding missing, like there's a piece of siding missing on the side of my house.
Well, we should talk about that afterwards.
We will. We are going to definitely talk about what's going on in my little fixer-upper. For those of you who don't know, I bought my fixer-upper in 2018, and it was a complete gut. I had mold. It was great. Good time. It's a beautiful home.
I like how spacious it is.
Yeah.
And it like all kind of sets off, so I liked it.
And I love that this space, like this is like 1,000 square feet and it's the only thing
I
that's
know.
up here.
I'm like, this is your whole 3rd floor. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just the master, well, what's considered the master bedroom, but now it's a studio. But that would have been good to know when I purchased this property back then because, hey, the roof definitely, like, I know that the roof on this, it was replaced in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Because of the storm
Storms.
that had just happened.
But like it was new then,
Mm-hmm.
but like you'll see like little spots and stuff because I know that it's been damaged, and also because I have the cathedral ceilings, and that's why it's kind of echoey. Hopefully you guys don't hear that. Because I have those cathedral ceilings, like when I hire somebody to go get up on my gutters or anything like that, like they have to have a special ladder because it's so tall. So
Yep.
that is one of those things that like destroys your property is if you don't clean out those gutters.
Yep.
And you know, I know that roof is that, and the siding. I also redid my deck out here, and part of the siding also needs to be replaced there. So getting that all like done, and now that I know you exist and I know exactly what you do, yes, we have to have an actual discussion, because before I go and call my insurance, hi Jamie, well I'll call you after I talk to her, to go make those claims. Like I think this is important. I'm so happy I had you on the show. Just like me personally, like just in general, that is a good idea. And
well, and the other thing is like a lot of people don't understand how insurance works, and like I've met so many people, my mom included, be like, well, this is what insurance gave me. Okay, you don't have to accept the first offer. And a lot of people don't understand that. I know that I've even helped my in-laws, and I was like, Tom, I was telling him, I was like, just call them like multiple times a day and just be like, is there an update? Is there an update? Is there? And like, he's like, yeah, I didn't do a whole lot other than just bug them. They gave me an extra $1,000. I was like, an extra $1,000's an extra $1,000. So like, go find you a new car now. Because I think that they were just shy of like, it was the car that they were going to give them was, or like the value of it was less than what they actually had. So I'm like, you can't change an apple for an orange. It has to be apple for apple. And I'm not asking people to give you a brand new Corvette or like a brand new house. I'm just asking for you to get what's fair so that you're, and the key word is indemnified for your loss. So I don't like dealing with car insurance too much, but homes, I mean, I can sometimes just for family. But homes, I do a lot of commercial work, and that's pretty much what I do.
well, and just even knowing, like, just even knowing what you can and can't like ask for. And I grew up in a household where like everything was negotiable, even at Walmart. So,
Yep.
I assume that like with everything, but like this, I had no idea that you could argue back and forth with the insurance company. Mm-hmm. I thought that it was just like, hey, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Nope.
And I would also say that like just knowing this now, it just like opens doors. And I hope the people that are watching are taking notes. And if you do have any questions for Tristan, please put them in the comments. We're going to talk about a few things, but we'll have time for questions afterwards, especially if you're going to have some kind of claim going on, or you're thinking about talking to your insurance company about doing those claims. I know we had a couple storms a couple weeks back. Like, seriously, this is a game changer. It's a game changer for homeowners everywhere. And, if you're a real estate agent that's watching, or take her advice on that kind of thing. Like, take her advice on talking to them if you are in an active negotiation. If you're a homeowner, or you're a soon-to-be first-time home buyer, and this is something that you want to look into because you love a house, but the roof is so old, like, this is a conversation to have. I think we definitely need to have more conversations about exactly how to do it, especially if it's something that I've never done before or an agent has never done before. But this is really a game changer, especially since the interest rates are rising and people are spending a little bit more money on houses.
Yeah.
this is something that's going to add insane value.
Well, and so let's say you were to work with some Rhino, work with us for a little bit, but let's say you find a house, because you're currently working with my brother. So let's say you find them a house. They haven't had the roof replaced in the last, let's just say 10 years. We have CRMs, we have, data that will allow us to search that address and tell you how many times that address has been, impacted by a storm event. So we can pull up a whole list. I think sometimes it goes back 10, maybe 20 years, depending on how good the data is. But it'll tell you every time that house got impacted. And then we know that Nebraska has 5 years, Iowa has like 1 year. So if it's within that time frame, we can go ahead and help you with the claim filing process. Another thing is that if you do find a house, let's say they're going through the purchasing aspect of it. I believe I heard that, so don't quote me on this, but building inspectors don't have to be licensed in the state of Nebraska. Insurance adjusters don't have to be licensed in the state of Nebraska, but a public adjuster has to be licensed and bonded, and the process isn't easy. So like they don't want us to exist. So we're actually trained to look for hail damage and look for something that actually applies that can help you out. And we do everything from pipe bursts. We work on sump pumps, that kind of stuff. If it's insurance related, you think there's insurance claim that can be had, we can help with that. But also for the initial buy-in, if you need help with building a full report, you need having it looked at, scoped at, we can do that too.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know, my mind is just blown. So like let's say a pipe bursts in my house, because what I've always been told is that if a pipe bursts, 9 times out of 10, like you have absolutely no insurance claim, especially if it's like out, let's say it's not inside the home. Let's say it's like 2 feet that way. I've always been told that like unless you have special kind of like utility line coverage, that it's not covered.
So that might be true, but let's say like you have a pipe burst in your house, you're going to have multiple facets of that claim. You're going to have structural, you're going to have interior, you're going to have drywall that you're going to have to tear up. You might have to have some mold repair done to it, additional living expenses if you can't live in your home. That's something that's covered in your insurance policy and all your contents. So I'm not really sure I can speak out to exterior of your home, but if it happens into your home, we'll definitely help you out with that stuff.
So anything inside, anything outside, unless it's attached to the house?
Yeah, it would be policy specific. So
Perfect.
We could read your policy, but most of the time your interior is going to be covered. It's like called nails in or something. So anything from the inside of the wall, you're covered.
Oh my goodness. I just learned all sorts of things. And then when it comes to like what you guys do, the process, so how do you get paid if you
Yes, that's like the huge question is how do we get paid? So depending on the claim, so usually it's a percentage, it's a contingency contract. So we don't get paid unless you get paid, and we get paid out of the insurance proceeds. So in most cases, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. If you're at $0 and we get you to $20,000 and you're on a 10% contract, okay, well, we're going to take $2,000 of that. You're going to have to pay, the rest of that money plus your deductible to your contractor doing the work. But without it, you would have had
nothing.
Yeah. So like it depends on how you see it. Sometimes you'll have people that are like, well, I don't want to give you that $2,000. Like I don't do work for free.
Well,
nobody really does.
That's the ROI, and that's the point of contracts. Again, everything's negotiable. If you don't want to pay somebody for, saving you thousands of dollars,
yes,
or giving you thousands of dollars, that's a different kind of conversation. But no, like that is genius, and especially since you don't have to like pay you right away.
No.
Like, that is super helpful.
And that makes sure that our best interest is your best interest. Like you are motivated to get your claims covered and as quickly as possible. I don't want to keep your claim open any longer than it has to because I'm exerting additional resources myself, even if it's just time. But, a lot of the times you're having multiple inspections. Okay, well, that's multiple times I've had to pay for gas. That's multiple mileages I'm putting on my vehicle. So I don't want to keep a claim open longer than I have to. But a lot of the times you're seeing depending on the claim. So again, we look at everything before we'll take it on. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and maybe 25% is what we'll take.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And again, I know how much a roof costs. Like any of that additional stuff, and that like one shingle thing or the 300 shingle thing. Oh, that just irritates me, because if that were to happen with my roof, like it would look horrible, because I know my shingle color doesn't exist anymore.
And that's a lot of the thing that we'll take into account is it available? A lot of the times we'll have where new shingles have went to the metric system, so they're off by like an inch and a half or something like that, where you can't mix those, and like the supplier will say, do not mix these shingles with old shingles, and we'll be like, you have to replace the roof because even the manufacturer doesn't support it. So, and a lot of the times we'll have to ask them, do you want us to install a roof incorrectly, or do you expect the homeowner to install the roof incorrectly? Are you going to cover them? Because a lot of times there's inherent vice in your policy. You'll have to go and look. But it's usually when you install a roof not up to code, or you misinstall the roof, well, then they're going to say, I'm never going to pay for your roof again, but I'm going to take all your premiums until you file another claim, and then I'll probably drop you.
Because I know I've been dropped by my insurance before for our house. There was a piece of siding. So
Okay.
I switched insurance companies, and then there was a piece of siding that had just like fallen off. And I'm like, well, it's a piece of siding. The piece of siding's gone, but they deemed it unsafe and they wouldn't insure me like at all because of my roof. Well, I had somebody come out and like fix it to their standards, but like I should have called you. But I had them fix it to their standards or whatever, just so I could be covered by insurance. But I had never had an insurance company that has done that before. It's always been like, okay, your house is covered, Yeah. But they actually, like, they had to have pictures. They had to send somebody out. They had to take everything. Everything. And that was so frustrating.
That's what a lot of people, like, and carriers will try to, and I'm not talking insurance agents, because agents a lot of the times don't have any control of it. And a lot of the times they're your friends, your brother, your sister, like they're usually people you support at home. The adjusters don't give a crap. So they're literally just there for a paycheck. Half the time they'll help you out as best as they can. Sometimes you'll get someone like on a bad day and they're like, you know what, State Farm is not liking me today, so what do you want approved? Those are my favorite conversations. I'm like, let's go through 5 claims, please. But the process of it, and homeowners get so exhausted by how long it takes. One of their biggest ploys is usually carriers have about 20 days to respond. So what they'll do is we'll send off our argument like day 1. So then they'll send an automatic email, and then on day 19 they'll say, we're still reviewing that information. And they'll do that for like months on end until someone gets upset. So like they're just banking on the homeowners getting tired, and a lot of the times they do. It's understandable. Like you said, the quickest way for people to gain equity is buying a home. And that's their largest asset that they're most likely going to own for most people. And they want that to be repaired. They don't want that to still be out there in the claim and having to constantly deal with someone coming to their house and inspecting it, having an engineer appointment, going to mediation, whatever it takes. They usually get tired, and sometimes claims can take 1, maybe 3 years at the longest.
Well, and like when we're talking about building wealth and building equity, like what I teach, because I'm an education-based realtor, so that's really all I care about. I care about my client understanding like what they're doing for themselves when they buy a home or when they sell their home. Like I care about the information piece of that and what she's talking about, because I think we talked about that beforehand. What she's talking about is one of the easiest ways to build wealth is to purchase a house. So most people don't have like $5,000, $20,000 just sitting in their bank account doing absolutely nothing. If you do and you want to share, you're welcome to my...
We can send our Venmos.
Yes.
Do you want to put it in the comments?
But most people don't have that lying around, and there's so many good programs out there. I work with a lot of really good lenders where you can get in with not very much money down. Like, yes, there's like caveats and things like that, that if you make too much money, you don't qualify for certain things. But, you know, it's worth looking into, especially if you are on that journey. And this gives people, like, what you do gives people access to that equity quicker and to that wealth quicker. Because if they can purchase a home and get that done, and then if there is an active claim or something that they can take advantage of, that's literally instant value to their house when the appraiser goes. The second that you pop a new roof on a house, I'm not an appraiser, so don't hold me to it, but the second that you pop a new roof on the house, that literally sometimes raises the value of even more than what the roof cost. Or like siding. Anytime there's new siding, anything new like that, new windows. I don't know if insurance does windows, but
sure does.
New windows, like anything like that, it adds that instant equity. And gosh, like I have like 4 clients that I wish I knew exactly what you did, and we had this conversation a long time ago, because I think they would have benefited from knowing that you exist. And knowing that you exist, I feel like is something that we need to just like post everywhere, that Tristan exists. Because man, like I'm literally going back in like my Rolodex, like I've like done 40 transactions. And I'm literally thinking like I should have had them call, like they could have probably done something, especially some of those older homes. Like
absolutely.
A lot of my clients, because I work in the first time home buyer space, a lot of my clients, you know, they can't afford houses that are 250 plus. So we're in the 250 under space, and
there's not a lot of options without a lot of repairs.
Like they have to put in that sweat equity. And just like off the top of my head, or like I've had several clients that like in the first I don't know, 20 days of them living there, like some sort of freak accident happened that really they really had nothing to do with what they did. It probably had really nothing to do with what the seller did. But it just was part of like home ownership, and you know, they had to do insurance claims, or like they had to have a policy, like, and knowing that this is a resource, it's just spectacular.
You know, and that exact situation actually happened not too long ago. I can't remember which space I was working, but like they had literally bought their house within a week, and they had just moved in, so it was insured already, and they had a huge hailstorm, and it damaged so much of their home. And so it damaged their roof, their siding, their gutters. It damaged part of their windows. So like we had to do a full exterior estimate, and we're like, the adjuster was confused at first because they're like, why are you sending us this huge estimate when you hardly moved in a couple days ago? So when that stuff happens, we'll show them the weather reports. We'll build a full report explaining why this homeowner deserves full replacement of whatever it is. And we'll send our pictures. We use company cam. So there's like that's like a really good thing that we use. So we can send you a link of all the pictures and all the damages we saw. So right off the back, like that does happen. It's not very common, but we can help people. It makes the process a little bit weary, but we can help out with that.
Because they wanted to completely and utterly, it's buffering again. Backing up because I don't know what the camera caught and what it didn't. But completely and utterly didn't know. They foregoed all of the inspection because they wanted to win that property. I don't ever recommend that, and this is why. Ever foregoing an inspection in general. But that happened, and it was what it was, but they ended up having to have like that all replaced. Thankfully, like the sellers like took responsibility, and they're like, well, you know, like we'll help out.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen very often.
No,
most of the time people are super greedy, and like their insurance company was like, no, we're not going to do anything about that particular thing. And then I've had other people who've had like cast iron pipes burst inside. And, you know, their insurance company, you know, would replace it and things like that. But it's a lot. Like, it was a lot of...
Yeah. Well, and, like, I've even had... I have a friend who does... he's, like, a commercial wholesaler and does some, like, flipping. And he was telling me that he had a claim in one of his, like, multiple unit properties. And they had lead pipes that burst. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's going to be so many components of that claim. Like you're going to have loss of business. So like him as the landlord is now losing money for loss of use of those units. On top of having lead, once it touches lead or anything like that, you need to have an abatement. And so like everything has been contaminated at that point. I think this one was under the subfloor, but like if it was just in right here, like let's say it happened right here and you had lead pipes, everything would be contaminated. You would have to probably get rid of it. You'd have to have it tested.
How old of a house has lead pipes?
It's really going to be probably pre-1950s, most likely.
Okay.
But a lot of the times, if you see aluminum siding on a house, what I've seen most likely is that there's lead paint underneath the siding and there's no like insulation under there either. So like that happens a lot, but lead pipes, like if they burst, it touches water, everything's contaminated. Mm-hmm. If it happens on the exterior house, if you have lead, if you have asbestos, it makes it a lot more difficult. It's a more expensive claim, but you've seen like little houses that might be worth $100,000. Like, let's just be honest, like they're not great houses anymore. But because of the asbestos tiles, the lead on the side, and then it has aluminum siding, which has been discontinued for a little bit, that claim is now worth more than the house, essentially.
So if that happens, like our homeowners are screwed? Like,
no, a lot of the times the claim will pay out, but it is not easy because they're like, well, why are you pulling this large of a claim on this house? It just doesn't make sense, and I get it, but if the policyholder signed a contract, then you're binded to that contract that absolutely. You, the carrier, also decided that was fit for them.
So, in terms of, so if there is a house like that, mm-hmm. would you recommend just people not even touching it? Or not even purchasing anything like that if it has like asbestos, this, and this? Because mm-hmm. I know I do have quite a few investors, mm-hmm. right? And they look at houses like that, but looking at it from this standpoint, is that riskier than?
I mean, riskier. The purchase itself, like I think that it's fine. It's just when the claims process comes, you just have to be, prepared. You have to know that it's not going to be easy. And unfortunately, the people that buy a cheaper house usually can't afford the time that it takes. So it's kind of a predatory tactic for insurance carriers to, okay, we'll sign this contract that you're probably never going to be able to be covered on because asbestos tile really doesn't break that easily. But when it does, you can't just replace one. You have to abate the entire house. So they usually don't have any intentions of actually covering that type of roof, or a lot of the times you'll also see like lead paint on the side of houses. And let's say the insurance carrier doesn't cover it. Like we can talk with contractors and you might have to pay out of pocket for that. But what they'll suggest some of the times is to just put house wrap on it and just enclose it because you don't want to get water. You don't want to contaminate the water. So that's usually the best and safest way without doing an abatement. An abatement is pretty expensive. So that's what I would do, is I would just put house wrap and then put your vinyl siding or hardy board, whatever type of siding you'd want to do after that. It's probably going to be the most cost-efficient way to go about things.
Well, I don't see any questions, but if anybody has any questions, we'll give like a couple minutes of answering any questions. It looks like we were buffering signal for a while and somebody thought that was funny. Hi, Cara. I don't know if you're still watching. She's a financial advisor. She's a great person. I want her on the show so bad. But any questions that you guys have at all, please shoot them in the comments. We'll sit on here for a little bit longer to wait for that. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, anytime.
I know we had some technology issues. We're having growing pains. Eventually, I think I may not do the lives, or we'll have a second camera. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Messy success is good success. That is my saying. But I really do appreciate this.
Yeah.
And I loved hearing about what you do. Like, it is literally a game changer and a helpful thing. It's not like something that's like stupid.
Yeah.
Like you know.
Yeah, no, it's something that it's untapped for sure, especially to Omaha, because I mean, a lot of PAs right now are dealing with the hurricane. It was catastrophic down there, so like we tend to work in groups of wherever the biggest, act of God happened. So like right now we have a lot of people that are in Florida.
Yeah. Like from your, I don't know.
Just in general, just from public adjusters, and we all kind of work really closely. Like I have friends that work in Texas. I have friends that work in Florida. I have friends that are here in Omaha. And they're like, we're all headed to Florida. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't want to go to Florida.
No, I wouldn't want to go to Florida right now either.
Like my hair gets real frizzy in Florida.
Somebody you work with just asked, what area was the most recent storm in Omaha?
Well, the most recent storm, there was one just a couple weeks ago in North O, but probably the most impacted storm was probably from June to July. We had like 5 decent hailstorms between June and July this year. So you have, I would say go file your claim before, the winter's over, because then you can have that time to work on that claim. So then next spring when they can start installing, you're good to go.
So what I'm hearing is everybody needs to get their little booties to talk to Tristan.
Yep.
And make sure that you can file a appropriate claim and maybe get some new roofs.
New siding, new windows, like whatever you want.
The other cool part about that is that helps boost our local economy too. So like it gives those local roofers, I know a few, check the link in the bio, it gives them something to do and some income as well.
Yeah.
And you guys don't have to pay very much. So it helps everybody. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win for everyone.
And another thing is so like when I came to Rhino, they're very good at looking at your HVAC units.
Oh.
So that's one of those things that, yes, insurance can cover it. If you have an older unit and it was probably impacted by hail, a lot of the times you can't just comb those fins out depending on how old it is. And R22 has been discontinued. It's the Freon stuff that they put in HVAC units. That's been discontinued. So if you have hail to those units, we're seeing some success of getting those replaced. So we're talking energy efficiency, your home's looking better, your values going up, all of the above.
All the things.
Yeah.
Again, my gosh. Okay, this is probably the most learning episode that I've learned so much today. I know it was a lot of talk about housing and stuff like that, but this woman is brilliant, and no joke, if you have any questions about claims just in general, please reach out to her, and she will take really good care of you. And I'm so excited, and I feel like we are going to have a lot more business together.
Absolutely.
Because you've given me another negotiating avenue, which gets me excited. It gets me going.
There we go.
And then I just want to thank your company for letting you come on too and talking.
Absolutely.
I don't know who else is. I don't know their names or anything.
It's
like that.
Rhett Shepard and Tim Connolly.
Well, thank
Keneally.
you. Keneally. Thank you for letting her come on here and letting me, grill her with a bunch of questions. Is there anything you would like to say or add before we peace out?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that my link is now in your link.
Oh, absolutely. So. Absolutely. Actually, after we had our initial conversation, I put you in right away just because it was very lucrative to know that I was given another negotiating tactic when it came to this. So if you have any questions, her link is in my bio. It is under Rhino. Otherwise, she'll be tagged in like everything. You will easily be able to find her. And when we post this afterwards, it should all be on there. Heather will figure that out. She's my PR person. Hi, Heather. You're probably watching. All that stuff will be there. And then if she has anything, other resources or anything like that, they'll be posted on my site or they'll be readily available. So any other questions before we get on? I thought I saw maybe somebody just popped on the live last minute, but anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so. I was trying to see if I had any text message for like the questions on there, but no, I don't have anything else. Give us a call. I know that I'm linked up with you, and I'm willing to help, even if it's just a look or run some data on your property or anything like that. Give me a call.
And if you're looking to buy and you want to utilize this cool new negotiating tactic that I gained, give me a call. Or if you're looking to sell and you want to strategize, because we talked a lot about strategy today and negotiating, please give me a phone call. I am literally the agent that is always on your side. I don't do dual agency unless I absolutely have to. I absolutely hate it. So reach out. I appreciate you all. Now I have to get close to the camera again. But have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.